Hi, I'm Belinda Fenty.
And I'm Pauline Nakiria.
Welcome to Let's React podcast, the podcast that amplifies the voices of artists from underrepresented backgrounds in the UK and beyond.
Yeah, we'll share our experiences, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. From addressing underrepresentation
to celebrating diverse, rich stories.
Join us on this journey as we react to the world around us and inspire change in the industry.
Hello and welcome to Let's React podcast. I'm Belinda Fenty and I'm here with the beautiful
Pauline Nakiria. Thank you, my darling Belinda. What? So this is a special episode where we started off going to interview Jake John, and then he ended up interviewing us as well, asking us a few questions. So this episode is the first part of two parts, and we look forward to you listening to it. It looks like our guest is waiting.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, hello. Hello. You are live. Please do not swear. I'm joking.
I don't swear anyway. I might say flip. Sometimes people think I'll swear when I say flip.
Oh, don't worry.
No, I mean, I think it's acceptable to swear if you sing it, because I heard that your voice is from the gods.
Yeah.
So anything you sing, whether it's an expletive or something vile, is going to sound like sweet nectar to us.
You know?
Is that true, Jake?
It's true. I don't know how sweet the nectar is, but I try.
Welcome. It's great to meet you.
It's great to be here. Great to meet you as well.
So,
all right.
Ask you a deep question, Jake, even though you've only just met. Okay.
Yeah.
By way of introduction to our guests.
Okay.
And to me, really, because we've just met, right?
Okay.
What three things do you think are representative of your spirit or who you are?
Oh, wow. Wow. That's good. Okay. What three things? I think number one is I care. I genuinely care. Like, when I'm just like, when I'm asking someone how you doing, I'm not expecting some general answer. I genuinely care. I love to share information. What else? And my faith in God. Probably those three things.
Oh, I love it.
Without sounding cheesy.
Oh, you've moved me. I've got some goose pimples. Yeah, like seriously, it's nice. Like I'm immediately moved.
Right. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
that's beautiful.
I remember
because
that.
that's
It's deep.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Everything you've said just
Yeah.
is radiating kindness and yeah.
I try. I'm not that good, but I try. Yeah.
No, that's a start. Do you know what? That's a beautiful way to start and introduce yourself as well. So, can you tell our lovely listeners about yourself? Just who you are and...
So my name's Jake John. That's my artist name, Jake John. John is my middle name. Jake's my first name. My full name, Jake John Yeboah. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer by trade. I actually started off acting before that. Obviously, that's where I know you, Pauline. And just in school was just acting. When I was younger, I would say, I just want to be in the media. When that's all I thought it was. But really, I wanted to be in entertainment. And I just loved everything about being on stage, being on camera, being free. It represents freedom to me, creativity. And I've slowly I don't want to say pivoted, because I'm still doing all of my arts. You can't stop like your gifts and everything. But I'm now sort of like, with all the business parts that have come with the industry, especially the music industry, I've turning into a business, if that makes sense as well. So I've been doing some, I'm a lecturer at a private university, music university, Waterbear College, and other places as well. And I was just given sort of free range to sort of teach the sort of business branding side to it, because I really have a heart for other musicians like myself who, okay, you may not want to get a major deal. You might not get offered the major deal. You may turn down a major deal, but you want to have a career just being artistic. And we're constantly told as people that you can't make money from this, all these things of people who don't understand the industry at all. And my eyes have just been open to, not just been open, but my eyes have been open to all the different ways to sustain a career in music. I run a music publishing company as well. So I know the back end of, yeah.
When
So
do
I
you
know
sleep?
the
This is amazing.
Good question. Good question. So I know the back end of the music industry as well. So my next venture, which has already started, I think you've already seen me put out some content and stuff, is I've got a mailing list of, you know, postgraduate music students who want to know about the industry, and I really want to help them be free enough to build a brand and create their own career. And that's kind of where I'm at now, you know.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. He's in there, he's doing things, he's a mover, you know, what they call, like, you know, that kind of person who just, you know, like sometimes when I've gone into like a studio, like a production building or a company, and there's always that quiet person in the corner just sat there quietly watching, listening to everybody. I feel like that's you, Jake.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah. When people just coming in and walking in and these meetings back and forth, you're just there, you just sat there quietly listening, watching, and then someone's like, oh, so what do you do? Oh, yeah. You're that guy, Jake.
Yeah, it's weird. It's trying to get the balance, because there's parts of your career, as you guys know, where you kind of do have to sell yourself. But at the same time, you don't want to have to sell yourself. And sometimes not saying stuff can kind of sell yourself as well. And you know, it's trying to get that balance. But you know, sometimes, you know, and I've been in situations, I'm not always as quiet as I should be. And I've been in situations where I'm like, okay, if I tell them this part about my career, then they're really gonna want to work with me. And, you know, you sort of say it, you spew out that information, and then it's kind of like silence. You're like, it didn't really make any difference. So like, I'm starting to learn how to just be like, hey, certain things have to come to you. And you know, and I've also learned that people really still struggle with putting people in a box, right? So I think, Belinda, I was on your Instagram, and I know that you're an actress. It said artist. So is that a visual artist or?
My soul is an artist.
Okay.
So I'm not limited. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. There you go. Right.
And in the writing and
There you go. So sometimes people it's like you need to introduce a new side to yourself, like when it happens. Otherwise, people just, oh no, you can only do one thing, and they get freaked out. So, you know, so I almost just let people meet the version that they want to.
Oh,
you know
interesting. Yeah.
You know I mean? And then other bits come out. Because it's funny, like, and this is all part of like branding, which I'm teaching my students. It's like when I was, so the funniest thing is with human beings, is like when I was in school, I was basketball Jake to a lot of people, right? Jake,
wow.
And I still play basketball. I love basketball. And they're like, yeah, basketball Jake. Other people be like, oh, singer Jake. Other people are actor. And all three of these people will swear that this is the only thing I do. If you say I do something else, they'll be like, no, he doesn't do that. So it's just funny how people work. So for that reason, as I said, let it happen. You know?
Totally. Yeah. I'm someone who, I think labels are often for the audience. They're not for me, because I find that I don't limit myself, right?
Yeah.
But lots of people seem almost intent on putting you into a box.
Yes.
So and I can sometimes see them getting quite frustrated if if I don't like play the game, or they'll be like, oh, but what do you really want to do? And I'm like, I'm doing everything I really want to do. It's just more than one thing.
Exactly.
They don't seem to understand that.
It's something that I love, like I swear by, something called Wealth Dynamics, and it's like it's a business profile, and it has like basically 8 different types of personalities in business. What I love about it is it's 8 different personalities, but it doesn't like put you in one box, because you're a bit of each one. But there'll be one that you're kind of more dominant. So I would be the stereotypical entrepreneur, which is like an ideas person, right? And what I realize is that there are, like, you know, as much as somebody say, okay, you know, Jake, are you a drummer? That's another box that some people just know me as a drummer, or just know me as a rapper. So, are you a drummer? Are you a rapper? Are you an actor? Are you all of these things? And the through line for me is, which is not part of the Wealth Dynamics, but I kind of learned for myself, is I'm a communicator. I love communicating.
Gorgeous.
So whether I'm playing if I'm playing the drums, that communication I give to people is like, this is how you should dance to the beat. This is the tempo. There's a conversation happening, right? And then Pauline will know when I was acting, I was really good at duologues because I love conversation, right? To the point where somebody give me a script and in 5 minutes I'll look at it and I'll just know it because it's intuitive to me. But then when it was a monologue, I struggled. And it wasn't until I taught myself that, oh no, a monologue is just a conversation with the audience. So until I got that concept, I couldn't do monologue. So I'm just a conversationalist and like a communicator, and all these different mediums are just ways for me to do it, whether it's drumming, rapping, and all that stuff.
I'm a communicator. It's like, right. Oh, yeah, that resonates.
Right.
That really
and
resonates.
It's like, and people will find it hard and they'll feel like you're not focused. And it's like, no, these are just different ways of doing the thing, but you just don't know what the thing is, because we define talent by skills, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You know?
Do you know what? So I didn't say communicator, but I arrived at something quite similar, because this will be quick because this is about you.
No. It's conversation.
It's just, it really like connects with what you're saying. Is a lot of people are confused that I'm also a medical doctor and an actor, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, they're so different. They're so different. And I'm like, well, actually, ultimately, they're both about people and connection. And through both, I get to know people and I get to connect with people. So actually, they've got more in common than you think. So that's always, you know, what it's kind of finding the through line of things that sound completely different, but actually at their heart, at their core.
That's it. And sometimes we can be so basic that we just, oh, this is so different. It's like, just look at actually what's happening, you know. It's even with you, Pauline, like I know you do other stuff, but even being a mother, like I was watching something to do with branding, and they were basically saying like they learned so much about branding with their children, you know, like and so much about negotiation with their children, right? So it's like, life is a negotiation, and all of these skills that you get. And so when we try and pigeonhole things or try and like separate things, it's like you're just somebody who doesn't understand transferable skills, you know. It's everywhere. Like business, I see it everywhere, you know. And so if I was going to hire a negotiator, I might hire a mum who really knows how to, you know, like I might hire a teacher who really knows how to get the kids to follow and obey, you know, because they've learned certain skills, personality skills. But, you know, I don't want to say basic people, but people who want to think basic will be like, what are you doing? That's crazy. They're nothing alike. And you can show them why it's similar. You know, and they'll just still be like, no, I just don't see it.
No, it's true. It's true. Because like even managing your time, because sometimes like even as artists, we're always thinking, our brains just don't stop. We just keep going. And so like I had to learn how to not quiet the voice, but just learn how to organize the voice in my head that just goes, okay, we're doing this. And then when something would, you know, easily distracted, because I think a lot of artists have got slightly a bit of ADHD because our brains go, and then we get distracted so easily by different things. So learning to focus my voice and you doing the daily reflections helped me learn to focus that little voice and help me understand my different roles. Okay? So from mom to, you know, even if I say artist, like it could be so many things because I do a lot of things, because I don't feel like I should be restricted to one thing. If I, like you said, Belinda, it's doing the things you love to do.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's learning to be like, and then using those transferable skills. Oh, I did that with that. Oh, I could do that. Yeah. So it's been nice to just learn to do that, to connect them and help use that to work with what I'm doing.
That's it. Yeah.
Speaking of rituals, because Pauline's got like rituals that helped you kind of, I don't know, quiet the noise, right? And get some peace. Jake, do you have any rituals for yourself?
Any rituals? What are rituals if they're not habits? They're specific things that you do
to help you focus.
Yeah, to help you in any way, I guess. Help you. They could be a habit. I mean, but it's more, it's intentional. A bit more. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't start off my day without talking to God. Like, I do not. Like, I need him. Right before I do the interview, I'm like, Lord, be with me. You know what to say, what not to say. And not even because of like nerves. I'm quite free with people and stuff like that. But just because the best things come out when I trust in God. He's a little bit better than me, which is an understatement. And I read the Bible. This is where like the foundation of all the knowledge that like I am acquiring. Like it's like there's nothing that somebody said to me that's groundbreaking that I can't find in the Bible. Like so that is that is sort of the foundation. Stretching, big one. Like my girlfriend makes fun of me because I'm always like stretching every moment. Yeah, I'll be stretching anyway. So like, but in the morning I have to get my stretching. And yeah, I mean, those 3 things are kind of the main things, Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. So you're connecting your soul, your mind, and your body, because
that's true. That's true.
Praying is your mind, your soul. You're working on your soul to better yourself, and then the stretching is your body. You're connecting those things. Nice. I like that.
Yeah. I don't think about that as like in a pattern, even though I intentionally do it. But it's like you just confirmed it. It's kind of like a holistic sort of like pattern. Yeah.
You come across as so like positive and radiant. I love it.
Yeah, do you know what? But you guys must have it as well, because you were just talking about Pauline, about getting your brain to stop. And like my uncle's like a really like he's a tycoon. Like he's got all these businesses since he was 17. Before he's legally allowed to own buildings, he was buying places through his dad's name and then renting it out and all this stuff to his friends. Yeah, and he would be ill a lot because what I realized is that I can play loads and loads of basketball. My body could be tired and I just need recovery. But when you don't switch off, especially if you do sports and you don't switch off, and you do physical activities and you don't switch off mentally, that's when you become run down, right? And as we're ideas people, what I've learned is there's no difference between there's no real difference between an ideas person who is somebody who creates art and an entrepreneur, because the stereotype of an entrepreneur, or the archetype of an entrepreneur, especially based on wealth dynamics, is somebody who has a vision and an idea. And every creative has a vision and an idea. And this is what I explain to my students is like, you think because you're not great at balancing a spreadsheet and you don't necessarily care about figures and numbers, you're not a business person, but a business starts with a vision. And I don't know how good Steve Jobs was at balancing a spreadsheet. I don't know how good he was, but I do know he had a vision, and he knew how to get the people around him, in order to push forward that, but as far as like being sort of like upbeat, I think it is a personality thing, and I think it is kind of being an ideas person and a visionary in that sense, because you've always got all these cool ideas. You're bringing nothing into something. So for me, and I'm maybe similar for you guys, is like I love the beginning because it's the idea of what could happen. So if you love the beginning of stuff, there's not really much time to be sad, because because you're always doing something new. And so like I'll be honest, like, and I was saying this to my girlfriend, I spend about 70% of my life just with like butterflies in my stomach, like just about what could happen. And I'm in love with the journey. Like with the business thing, I flipping love the journey of it. Like, like it's not even about, I want to be a multimillionaire, whatever. It's like, okay, this is where I want to be, but the journey there and seeing each bit come to pass is like the best thing ever.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
So
and I think that's gonna add to your light and your positivity when you're actually enjoying the journey, because you see people who have these targets and they're not happy, like because they're only thinking about the end goal, they're not enjoying the journey. And here
that's
you
it,
are, in each moment.
A wise man said, between a rich man and a poor man, the poor man has more hope, because he still believes if he gets enough money, he'll be happy, So it's like, like the reason why these people aren't happy is because they're literally like, when I get this, I'll be happy. And that's mad. We all know that's not the truth. If you don't enjoy today, you're not going to enjoy tomorrow. It's simple as that. You won't have the muscles. You won't have the muscles built, mental muscles to enjoy when you've got it, because you're always in lack. Your whole mind is in lack.
No, and how does that? So thinking of all these things, like the business side of it, and also you as an artist. So how do you connect these things now with you?
Yeah. Do you mean time-wise, or do you mean like as far as execution-wise, or both? But,
so when you're starting off, like say when you're creating music, for example, or when you started thinking about branding in itself, when that idea started, how did you use all these things that you have to connect that and bring it to to fruition.
Yeah.
Sense.
Yeah. No, I think I get you. So I'm always, this can possibly be a negative thing, but I'm always working towards some big pie. Do you know what I mean? Like, and again, when we talk about the end result, it's almost like whether you get there or not is irrelevant. If you aim for the stars and do you know what I mean? And when I say whether you get there, it's not because I don't think things will happen or can happen. It's more about, you might run out of time because the things you want to do are so big. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's okay because you're enjoying the process and you're enjoying the milestones along the way and all of that stuff, you know? So you never lose in that sense. But I'm always trying to merge things together. Like, and I didn't realize later on that there's actually a strategy in business called the Blue Ocean strategy that my friend told me about. He's like, oh yeah, what you're doing is that. And it's the idea of like just marrying two ideas together. And that's how you differentiate yourself in the market, right?
Why is it called Blue Ocean?
So I don't want to mess this up. So essentially, the Blue Ocean is like, well, the ocean is blue. So this is where like, this is the norm.
Yeah.
And then like it's going to sound weird because I might get the colors mixed up, but I kind of feel like it's meant to be. So the blue is like is the norm, and that's where you are in the market. So if I say I'm a singer, it's like, okay, great, there's 1 billion singers in the world, right? The Blue Ocean strategy is when you introduce like the red, right? And the red is how you stand out in that market, right? So that's basically why they called it. So that would be when you merge, like, let's just say like I'm a singer, but I really love animals, right? This is not true, but so, you know, I really love animals. And or in your situation, you're a doctor and you're also an artist, right? So if I'm a singer and I do an event, you can say, okay, locally with somebody with your kind of following, Jake, you can charge maybe 10, maximum £20 per ticket, right? But if because you know, that's the kind of price that people pay for people in my situation or my status, whatever. However, if I was to now invite you to a gig where I'm singing, but there's like cages of wildlife, right? And that's part of the theme, right? In the venue, right? So now I've invited you to this immersive experience where you hear the songs, but you also get this experience with wildlife. And this is all part of you can't name the price for that. It's a different, you can't be like, I'm going to this gig. You'll be like, what is this thing? Do you know what I mean? So now if I'm charging £100, at worst, you're going to be like, well, London Zoo costs this much and this is singing and it's all together and it's all this different experience.
Yeah, and it's like, I've never experienced that. Yeah.
Right, exactly, right? So I'm just making this up as I go along. For me, and I'll just say this is really why I'm trying to push my students. It doesn't have to be as wild as that. It can be a tiny difference to what you do. But I'm saying like everyone's trying to stand out. And I don't like the idea of just trying to be different, be unique. The things you love doing, put those things together and make an experience so that when people come to see you, whether you're an actor, whether you're a singer, whether you're an artist, they come to see you. They can't say, I'm going to see a singer, I'm coming to see an artist. No, they're coming to see Jake John. You know, you can't put me in the box because you're coming to this experience. And then nobody can tell you whether you're doing it wrong or right because they've never seen it before. So I can't say, this is not how it's supposed to be, you know, like, this is not how you merge animals with music. It's like, you've never seen this before, so you won't even have that. So trying to answer your question is, I don't know, so my whole family's like, we all do music in the church to this day. We're all gospel singers and I play drums in the church and I know how to play the back row, you know, the back position in the church, and then sometimes I'm singing as well. But like we're quite a creative family, but both of my parents are also entrepreneurial, which I didn't realize till my friend said to me. He said, Jake, it's easy for you because he's typical West African, Nigerian, well, I guess African, whereas like doctor or lawyer. You know what I mean? And he sort of like went into entrepreneurism later on, but he said it's easy for you because you come from this. So I already told you my uncle, my grandma has like stores and stuff like that. My parents are in property and all this stuff. So I've always, and I was really influenced by my uncle, and I used to see him with his briefcase and stuff. And I'd be like, I want to be like this guy, you know, but I also loved entertainment and all this stuff. So I think I just grew up in a culture of both business and art. And before like even hip hop and music became something where people own their own record labels and all of this business acumen, my mum was always just like, why do you want to get signed to Universal. There was times where I was like doing deals with like Universal that fell through and things like that, and Sony and EMI and all these places, they all fell through. My mum's like, "Why do you want to do this?" Like, she knew it wasn't God's plan for me, and she'd be like, "Start your own one." And I'm like,
"Wow,
start my own one." She was saying this way before
I love your
mum.
Yeah.
Wow, I love her. I love the faith as well that because she's telling you she believes in you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that like... support, that knowing that like you can do it. Like why are you waiting for someone to say yes? You can do it. Yeah. Amazing.
That's
you actually slightly answered one of the questions I was going to answer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which was actually because you mentioned you sing in church. Right. I wondered when you were talking about using all of you and combining aspects of you, it made me wonder whether you put your faith into your music and how it comes out, or like what you sing about, what you write about.
Yes, very good question. So I do have a song called Moving for Jesus, which for me was an experiment because I was always told, yeah, no one wants to hear about this, no one wants to hear about that. And it was the same type of argument that people would use in school where like I never drank, like, and for me, it's not even that I was against drinking. Like my parents, before they became Christians, they would drink. Then like this could be political, but in the Bible, it doesn't specifically say don't drink. I just don't drink, right? It basically talks about like, don't get drunk with wine and all this stuff. But like for me, I wasn't necessarily against it. Because I didn't want to do it at the time, and everyone was like 14 getting drunk, like they would tell me that essentially you're not cool unless you drink. And then I just always like, I just grew a rebellious side to me, which is just like, if you're saying this is what is cool, I'm going to show you the difference. And it always works. People, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be the person at the party dancing, felt free. And I just grew more social freedom because I wasn't relying on these things, whatever. And it was almost like the more people told me I had to do something to fit in, I wanted to go the opposite, even when there's an opportunity to do stuff. Like, so with my music, with that song in particular, Moving for Jesus, I was like, okay, so I know that my music generally it's almost like if you see, sorry, I know I'm going all over the place, but if you see like a basketball player like Shaquille O'Neal or Kobe Bryant, they both release rap tracks. And when they released rap songs, they were like, it was immediately, a lot of it was about basketball because it's who they are. Yeah. And for me, I feel like I don't necessarily have to strive to put my faith into my music. It comes out because I'm telling my story. If I'm being honest, it's going to come out, right?
Yeah.
But then I wanted to challenge myself and people. So I was like, I want to make this track, which is just like, it's a 7-minute long track. And I took all these ideas together and I just merged, to me was like some masterpiece. And I was just like, I'm going to put this song out to all of my friends who are not believers. And it was every single one was like, yo, this is dope. Yo, this is dope.
Wow.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And that's the way I've always worked because I just don't, we're constantly told lies. Because of sometimes lazy people who, do you know what I mean, can't be bothered to go against the grain, or people who can't be bothered to see whether something works. And they just tell you based on, well, this is how it's done. So therefore what you're saying doesn't work. And it's like, it's not true. Like, because if you look at the principles of why people love music, that's not one of the reasons. Do you know what I mean? It's like hip hop is so big because it's polarizing. Most of us have never killed someone. Do you know what I mean? Most of us have never, you know what I mean? Like, sold drugs, right?
True.
But everyone listens to this music.
Good point.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's polarizing, right? So why would somebody not listen to this song because they don't believe in it? It's like, we're constantly fascinated by things that are not part of us, There needs to be something that's relatable about it. Do you know what I mean? But that's not the reason why people don't listen to stuff. So I feel like in my life, I'm always proving things wrong. And sometimes I have to catch myself because sometimes I'm like, Jake, just going in the straight line. Sometimes like I've literally even quite recently had some ideas and stuff that like, I don't know if you guys know PRS, they're like sort of like the biggest like royalty collection. They're basically like the government of music in the UK, basically. Yeah. And I was getting them to invest in an idea I had because I can just come up with ideas and I can come up with ideas that serve people. Yeah. And human beings, really, we're really self-centered. So if you do something that serves me, I want to buy into it. But I was coming up with these ideas and stuff, and then like, it kind of fell through, but I could sort of still push it. But I was just like, I don't actually want to do this. I was just kind of trying to prove a point. So sometimes I have to catch myself, right? It's like, is this cool? Do you know what I mean? Like, just because you can doesn't mean you should,
Yeah. Exactly.
No, you're not trying to be different, but like finding yourself in that a world that is so full of all kinds of this is the way. You can't deviate from that. What's a challenge? What's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome?
Right.
And how did you do it? Like, how did you overcome it?
Nice.
Are we talking business-wise, like career-wise?
Career-wise, yeah.
It's the problem that I'm trying to solve now, what I'm going to solve now, like with my business Geeks, which is God engineers every king success. And the whole slogan is to empower the next generation of dreamers, right? And it's really like, I'm, you know, the niche is musicians, but a lot of the stuff I speak to like just helps all creatives. And my thing was like, okay, you come out of uni or whatever you study or whatever you're doing, and then you're like music is quite interesting because essentially you are an entrepreneur. Because you're not even like in acting where you're going to auditions and then like the director is or the producers are the real entrepreneurs or whatever. It's like as a musician, you're kind of on your own. Yeah. So just trying to figure out this industry. How the flip do you make money out of this? I told you I say flip. I said flip, guys. I didn't swear. I said flip. Do you make money out of this thing? Especially with all these people that don't understand the music industry. Like just random people telling you, yeah, the music industry's hard and all this stuff. And the way I overcame it was to, you know, obviously I did the praying, read the Bible, stretched. But I had a lot of experience because God put me in loads of situations where, again, I was working with EMI when it was around Sony, Universal. So I would see things that are going on, as you're saying, Pauline, like I would just watch what's going on and stuff. But then I had to do some deep studies into like how, just because I'm always asking the question, how and why? I'm always asking those questions. And I was just like, how does this work? And I feel like a lot of people take it as face value and they just go on with, you know, the way the current is going already. And that's, I'm not even shaming that. I think it's a good thing because they don't have as many struggles as I do. But I'm always trying to problem solve. So I want to know the source of it. Like, what is the music industry, you know? What is the music industry? How do you make money out of it? And for me, it's not even, you know, I say, how do you make money out of it? Of course, there's an important question to ask when you're trying to make money out of something. But for me, I want to know how things work. Because when I know how things work and why things are done, if I really understand the core of it, then I can build my own solutions because I understand it, you know? So for me, I'm always trying to find out the core of something so that I can find solutions. I really love deal making as well. You know, I really love deal making and knowing sort of two things, which is like humans are self-centered, not in a bad way. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Not selfish, self-centered, totally. And also just taking an interest in human beings and understanding, you know, I did a deal for my church, right? So we were trying to get a church building and it was like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say the figures, but
it was a massive figure. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're a small church at the moment. As we speak on this podcast, we're a small church. And basically my mum, who's, you know, businesswoman, managed to negotiate to half of that. And then they wouldn't budge. And it was just constant figures just being thrown at each other. And for me, again, you're told that everything's about money. I'm not a believer in that. Like, I don't know an entrepreneur that's in it for the money because, you know, like it's always something bigger because money's not a great motivator for people, you know? Even if you take someone like Alan Sugar, who doesn't create stuff, one day on one of his shows, he said, it's not about money. It's like, he said, I love seeing new inventions and taking those new inventions to market, right?
Yeah.
But the lazy thing to say is, yeah, he's just into money, right? So I went into this conversation and I just leveled with him. I said, yo, bro, we know that the person you're working for is a multimillionaire. It's not about the money. What's it really? Do you know what I mean? What's it really about? Like, what problem can I solve for you? Yeah. And he said, well, to be honest. And we said, when he said, well, to be honest, I was like, gotcha. In my head, I was like, gotcha. And he said, to be honest, the places are being used and we have to pay business rates every year. But we're a church. Charities don't have to pay business rates, or at least only have to pay 20% of it. So we're like, okay, let us sort that thing out for you, you know, and then we can pay X amount. Like, and I felt like I could have pushed more, like go up, but sometimes it's good to maintain a relationship so people don't feel screwed over at the end of a deal, you know? So like, but the way I dealt with it is very human. Sometimes we make business some mathematical, no, it's very human. I leveled with him.
Yeah, level with me. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Do you know what I mean? And I found out the truth because we had a human to human conversation, right?
Yes.
And you realize that whilst we're throwing figures around on email, it's just ego.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to let it go less than this amount of money. No. He's trying to screw me over. But then when you have a conversation, it's like, yeah, to be honest, this is how much it is, you know? This is the major thing I nearly missed out. Like, this is the major thing. In the Bible, there's a scripture that says, if any man being mankind, man and woman, if any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who will give freely and won't scorn you for asking, and gives freely, right? And I prayed this prayer, and I prayed it with like truthfully from my heart, because after that it says, when you ask, don't come doubting in two different minds, don't be incongruent, know that this is what you want. So when I did that, and I was completely congruent, and then my life changed from that. But it wasn't just like some magical thing. Of course, like things did happen, I'll be honest. Like my life did change from that. My mind almost changed from that. Or my mind did change from that. But in the scriptures, it breaks down what wisdom is. And it says, in all of your wisdom, so wisdom is understanding, it's knowledge, you know, but one of the big things is insight. You know, like wisdom is insight. So I'm always trying to get insights.
Yes.
You know, how does the music industry really work? How does this person really feel? You know, like I'm always intrigued and trying to find out more. And I believe this is one of the reasons why women succeed in business more than men. Like when you look at Dragon's Den, it's something like literally, apparently, like it's like every single woman they've invested in, none of them have failed. All the ones that failed have been men, right? And it's because they say like EQ, emotional intelligence, like is way better performer than IQ, right? So when women have both, if you've got IQ, which, you know, it's going to be level, right, with men and women, or let's be honest, maybe a little bit higher with women, let's be honest. but then definitely EQ, which is, you know, not completely negating the emotional side to it as well, then you perform higher, right? And in the Bible, wisdom is always described as she. You know, wisdom waits for you, he waits for you, whatever, right? So it's always described as that, and it's almost like it's a feminine trait in a positive sense, like a feminine trait, like for the guys that maybe listen to this, but in a positive sense, because it's deeper than just head knowledge. And if you look at something like insight, if you have natural empathy, which is stereotypically that's what women have more than men, then if you've got empathy, you're going to have more insight, because your empathy puts yourself in somebody else's shoes and you want to know more. Then you're going to have more knowledge, you're going to have more wisdom and stuff. That's my sort of like understanding of it, but it kind of makes sense to me. So
true.
That's honestly, that's amazing. It's a mix of like you say, understanding yourself and how you fit into this world, and using all those bits, like you've said, those parts of you that help you connect, which is really nice. But it's true, it's important to understand what you're in. Like that's why one of the reasons why I took the last 2 years to be specific, to learn how the film industry works.
Oh really? Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
On film productions, but it's because I wanted to know why is it that the stories we're seeing, or the people that are working, like why is it that we don't? It's this, it's that. It's like they're choosing what, like not even choosing what. It's not to their fault that what we see is what is basically what we're given, but because now and more the world is more open, more diversifying in a way, like much more in the media than we would normally see. I wanted to understand, okay, what is it that would make someone want to do this? And it's been really nice as well to learn to just connect with people who wanted to do the same thing, and seeing them start in different things, and I'm like, yo, shout out, yes, you're doing that. Oh, cool. And not trying to think of it like, because you know that whole thing when they used to say that like there's this African mentality, or where we don't really support each other, we don't really or like black people in general.
They used to say that, didn't they? Like about black money, like and that's not going to work because black people aren't going to.
We're
proving it wrong though. We're proving it wrong.
Yeah, especially like with Black Panther, like making a Black Panther movie. What? That's not going to work. And then it was one of their biggest films that, you know, sold. But it's that thing of where it's learning to realize, yo, I'm proud of you. And you like, I'll be there. It's more now like, let's support each other. Okay, how do we do it? How do we collaborate? This is what we do. You know, talk to each other. I think that's the other thing that people don't do. Learning to talk to each other and realizing that we can support and help each other. And do you know what? And it's true. Learn what the industry is that you're doing, understand it helps a lot. Go to networking events, you know, go to random things that you're not sure of what's happening, but it's creative, it's arty. Just go there and you'll meet the most amazing people. So I really love that. I can relate to that.
It's back to that thing of like, you can be more than one thing. And I mean, there's a question I wanted to ask you, but before that, I'd say, like, you know, and I've learned this where, you know, I was asked at this university, like, and this is where I felt like I really stepped into my gift, where they were just like, oh, could you teach this? Could you teach this course on like marketing and social media content? And I was like, no, I don't social media. Like, I don't like, I know a bit about it. My sister was a big YouTube person, whatever. You know, I study, I pay attention to like business stuff, but I don't like this, right? And then I literally said no. But in my other class I was teaching, they had one session on marketing on the same day, marketing and content. Previously, before that, like, I literally heard God say, teach music business, but I didn't know what part of it. So anyway, like, when for people who are listening, like, say, like, what do you mean you heard God say? I was dreaming, like, I was literally in my sleep and I heard a very strong voice say, teach music business. Yeah, so I literally turned it down, went to my lesson. It happened to be about content, whatever, taught it, and everyone was so engaged.
Wow.
Like, covered the whole industry. And it was like, and this group that I had was so quiet originally. And this lesson, they were like just involved and asking questions. I just had so many answers to stuff. I was like, oh yeah, maybe you know better. So I literally got home and I was like, yeah, I'll teach it.
Is it? Oh, I love it.
So I ended up teaching like the last year students a degree, you know, the third year students about that. And they were all working on their own part. But the point I'm trying to make is, when I was in there, you can always have imposter syndrome in so many different places. But when you realize, and I think it goes back to when you say just about talking with each other as well, even as actors, actor to actor, sometimes we'll only want to speak to directors or producers because we think that's where the opportunity is. And it's like, when you become more abundant in your thinking, and when you realize that you can literally be the teacher and the student, do you know what I mean? Yes. In a way that I actually I only trust teachers who are still students, in the sense that, you know what I mean? You want somebody who's enthusiastic, always learning new things. It's like, oh, I trust you because you're always learning for yourself, so you can pass that down. You can be both. So I feel like imposter syndrome as well and things like that come from, you know, like you have to be something that you're not. And it's like, no, you can be both, you know? And it's just like this, like, you getting in and getting insight on how the industry works is going to inform your acting so much. It's going to inform your producing, your storytelling so much. And you can be both. And it's back to that thing, you can be both. And you're looking for wisdom, go to Proverbs. There's a book called Proverbs. There's a proverb for every day. I think there's 30 or 31 proverbs. And you can literally just get incredible wisdoms for each one. So that's what I'd say.
Your favorite proverb? What's your favorite one?
That's a very good one. Quickly, I would say, well, probably, so much a man thinketh, so is he. You know, what you think of is who you are. You know, but you put me on the spot. I think there's a few.
Sorry, I wasn't going to ask any more questions, but
that's good. I didn't want to keep you guys long, so like, you're in. But yeah, no, absolute pleasure. Really good.
Yeah, I feel really happy. So thank you. Your energy's kind of infused me with a buzz. So, thank you.
No, definitely enjoyed it. Thank you, Jake. Oh yeah, do listen out for Jake John.
So we'll be sharing some links from Jake John in our Instagram and in our listings. So take a look. Yeah. And we will see you lovely listeners soon. Bye.
Bye.